My last few classes have had tutorial style setup plus a little bit of movement at the end. And today we're just gonna flow and move, and we're gonna have a specific focus on our breath and our rib cage. So it's gonna have like a real cozy, meditative flow vibe. So just move with it. Remember to breathe, even if you don't breathe with my cues. And if you have either a Gertie ball, which is like a Pilates ball, squishy kind of ball like this, or a foam roller, that's helpful, but you don't have to have that. And if you have a towel for any head support or back support that you might want to use, you can grab that. And I would just say fold it up or roll it up in a way that feels supportive for you, especially for head support. All right. Let's get moving. You're gonna start on your hands and knees. Just make sure your prop is nearby. And if you need any hand support or knee support, please just pad up with what you need. If your wrists are sensitive, you want the padding to go right underneath the bottom of that palm of your hand, underneath your wrist, or just make a fist. We're gonna start with cat-cow because I want you to notice what it feels like and what it's gonna feel like basically at the end. So you're gonna curl your tail under, pressing the ground away, letting your spine gently round. Let your head drop as your tail points down. Take a breath there. And I want you to practice. We're really going to focus on letting the sides and the back body expand with our breath. And then you're going to slowly take your tail up and you're going to ripple out through all the way through your throat, your neck, your head. Keep your organs supported as you do that. And one more. Curl the pelvis and the tail down towards the floor. Let it ripple through your whole spine, all the way to your head. And then going the other way. Tail and sits bones go up. The spine ripples all the way out. Head and tail go up. Then you're going to find a happy medium. You're going to come to your forearms, and you can play with, everyone's got different body proportions, and you may have a different just flexibility, mobility, but we're going to go upside down here, and we're going to breathe. And what I want you to do is stack your hands in a way that either your forehead or the top of your head can easily rest on your hands. Shoulders are kind of underneath elbows are kind of underneath the shoulders. Hands are either stacked front to back here, and the head just rests in there, or maybe they stack upright and you let your head rest there. I'm going to start with my fist stack with my elbows under my shoulders. I'm just going to start there, and I'm just going to let the top of my head, crown of my head, rest in my hands, and you're just going to stay here and you're going to breathe. And as you breathe, you want your ribs to move out to the sides of your shirt and up towards your armpits or towards your collarbones or your shoulder blades, whatever your brain thinks. And as you exhale, your ribs don't jam down, they just softly fall. You do that again. Your ribs go out and up, out to the sides and up. And you exhale, they drop in and down. Now your diaphragm, your respiratory diaphragm, is doing the opposite. Your respiratory diaphragm is moving down towards your belly. It is increasing the pressure on your organs, but because we're upside down, it feels different. And then as you exhale, the diaphragm softens and kind of domes up to kind of almost like it catches those ribs. Then you're going to inhale again. And exhale, domes up, and you imagine it catches the ribs. That's not exactly what's going on, but we're going to imagine that. One more, inhale. Diaphragm presses down. It allows the pelvic floor to expand, the back body, the sides of the waist, and the belly to all expand as evenly as possible. And exhale. The belly kind of hollows back. The diaphragm slides towards the heart and lungs, and the ribs soften down. Now think about both at once. Inhale, ribs out and up, and the diaphragm goes down. Exhale, diaphragm domes up, ribs soften down. One more like that. Inhale, diaphragm presses down, ribs go out and up. Exhale, diaphragm domes up, ribs soften down. Then you're going to come back up onto your hands and knees. If you're working with a ball or a roller, you're going to put it underneath one hand, and that one hand is going to be kind of centered. The other hand's underneath the shoulder, and both shins are pushing down. You want to try and keep your hips and knees square, and you're going to reach that arm to the opposite corner of your mat as you breathe in. The hand that's down on the mat stable is just going to bend, and you're rotating, and a lot of times we just tail up, we collapse everything down. I want you to stay active. Whatever arm is reaching across, it's pushing down, and you are rotating your ribs as if they are on a rotisserie spit. So think rotisserie rib cage as you reach across, and you breathe there. And then you press, and you come back up to center. And then you do that again. You inhale as you begin to reach across. You've got a spiral in your ribs, not a collapse forward of your ribs. So draw your belly in a little bit, button your front rib cage together so the back and sides of the rib cage can really expand, spiral there. Make sure your knees and hips are trying to stay forward. Take a breath there. Exhale, press and come back to center. One more there. Press and reach across. Inhale. And exhale. Take another inhale. Shift some weight into that reaching across arm side. Exhale, coming back to center. Then we're going to do a little more thread the needle, same side. I'm going to still work with my ball. If you don't want to work with the ball, just use your arm reaching across. So you're going to thread that arm underneath. And even here, my ribs want to kind of like collapse. So I've got to push through my shins. I've really got to work my stabilizing arm. And I've got to rotate my ribs. So there's still a lot of core support. And then you're going to come back to center. And you're going to breathe, and you're going to rotate. Breathe there. And come back in 3 times. Can I keep my tail, hips, knees centered as I rotisserie my rib cage? And then come all the way center. Bring both hands down. Take a moment. Do a quick cat-cow in the center. Just easy, round. Notice if it feels different on the side that you've moved versus the side you haven't. Going up. And then find center. Take the other hand on the ball. We're going to reach the opposite corner. Pressing down into the ball. Breathing in as you begin to reach. You'll need to take a few deep breaths there. So going down, everything wants to shift on the side. Keep that arm that's reaching actively pressing down. And notice if your ribs really can spiral. Draw your front ribs back. Make sure your tail is free. And then you come back to center. And then you do that again. You might find that one side is a little tighter or feels much different or feels more awkward than the other. Breathing there. And then coming back to center. Last one on this diagonal. Remember that other arm is really working to support you, to help you lean into that stretching side. And you're rotisserie your rib cage, right? So you're rotating around a central axis is what I mean by that. So your head and tail, your central axis, and you've got to spiral your ribs around that. And then come back to center. Take the ball into a more thread the needle style. So underneath that other arm, you're going to reach the arm you've already been moving. You're going to reach it under the other arm. Notice if your hips want to shift around, press into the shins, get the hips a little active, and rotate. Breathe deeply there. And then come back. 2 more there. Reaching, threading, rotating, rotisserie ribs. Breathing, and coming back to center. Last one. Breathe and come all the way back to center. Take the ball down, take both hands down, do a simple cat-cow, easy through the center. Notice if it already feels different. Breathing there, and then going the other way, out through the head and tail, up through the throat is open, and then level yourself off. Then we're gonna come to sit with our knees bent. If you've got the prop, like a ball or a roller, take it to your side. If you're working with a towel and specifically for head support, take it to the far end of your mat. We're gonna do some rollbacks. So we're really gonna focus on this navel support, sort of like navel to diaphragm support, as well as this expansion of your back rib cage, right? So you're gonna have your knees bent, feet planted. They can be wider or narrower. Take your hands to your thighs, soften your shoulders, and start by pulling your belly away from your thighs. Just start with that. Then hold there and breathe into that side and back rib cage. Exhale, pull your belly back a little bit more and begin to let your butt curl underneath you so you can even kind of pull with your feet so your hamstrings get a little involved as you roll back. Go until your arms straighten. And then you can hang for a second, almost like your spine is going to fall back into an imaginary hammock and your shoulders are resting on your ribs and your neck and throat and head are nice and easy. Your jaw is easy. Hold there for a second and see if you can breathe into that back inside rib cage and draw, almost like you're drawing your organs back and up a little bit. Like, can my liver slide back and up? What about my stomach and my spleen? A little bit my left. What about my viscera? So my small intestine, can it just snuggle back a little bit and open up my back body? And then can I keep them snuggling back as I pull with my arms to rock all the way forward, rounding, and then stacking up. Breathing in again, start by pressing a little bit through the feet, rolling or pulling that navel back and rolling the hips under all kind of at the same time now. So we're going to move a little bit more in sequence. See if you can draw not just your shoulders up, your chest back. So it's not chest back, it's the ribs, especially that middle and lower rib cage, moving back and away from your butt, basically. So you're trying to open up that space between your pelvis and your rib cage, that thoracolumbar fascia. Take a breath there. Exhale, keep those organs snuggled back with your abdominals as you round to come forward. And some people have more round, some people have less. Sometimes we have more in one area than the other. And in our dream scenario, it's a nice even curve in our spine, but you know what? That's a dream scenario. So we work towards that, but that might not be reality, right? So this time, you're gonna begin to roll back. You may just float your arms next to your legs, parallel to the floor. You're gonna roll back, soft, soft, soft. This time we're gonna make our way all the way down, but I wanna see, can you do it with control? And you might need your hands on your legs for that. Curl the pelvis under. Breathe. See if you can think my butt rolls down, then my lower back, then my ribs. Can I stop with my rib cage? Then my shoulders, then my head. From there, if you're working with the ball, I find it's really nice just to take the ball where my ribs separate here and just kind of press it there with my arms down. Again, this might not be everyone's call, and you might not have a ball like this to play with, so you might just choose to just take your hands there. Or take your hands on by your side. We're gonna do heel slides and we're gonna think back to that backside breathing and that diaphragm. So what we're gonna do is remember, everything expands from your chest to your pelvic floor when you inhale. So we're gonna inhale and we're gonna slide a leg out. You're gonna flex that foot and really let that leg stretch. I think like not my knee pushing down, but my thigh sliding back towards the mat and my heel reaching out, and we're inhaling. So everything needs to expand. Exhale, ribs will soften, but I want the ribs to have just a microsecond delay, just like a millisecond of delay as you exhale and you kind of feel your diaphragm dome up. Your belly just pulls in a little bit and your ribs soften. You're going to stay on that same side for 3 more times. So you're going to inhale out. Exhale, drag the leg in. Inhaling, expanding, especially the back body into the mat. Exhale, pulling in. Inhaling out. Exhale, drawing it in. Switching sides. Inhaling out. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Exhaling, drawing the belly in and up. Inhaling out. Exhaling in and up. I like to use my foot that's down on the ground to kind of pull, so I keep that side long as I do this. Inhaling, back and side of the body. So less about, your belly will expand, your chest will expand, but it's a little less front body expansion, a little bit more the rest of your body getting some yawn, some stretch. Exhale, pulling in. Last one. Inhale, stretching out. Exhale, pulling in. Take both feet out a little bit wider, so at least shoulders distance. Let your arms just go out to the side and let your knees drop to one side. One hip will lift up, so whatever leg is going to be top, that hip will lift up. But I want you to see if you can keep your shoulders grounded. So your ribs and your hip will lift because of the weight of your leg pulling. And I want you to push through your top foot and kind of stretch a little bit through the front of that hip. And I want your head to look opposite that. And I want you to take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, draw those ribs back onto the mat as you come center. Pull the waistline in and back. Inhale, knees go to the other side. Head goes opposite the knees. And you inhale there. Exhale. Draw center, and it's not the shortening through that rib cage and pelvis. It's a widening of your ribs back, anchoring those ribs down, pulls the pelvis, right? It pulls the waistline. Inhale, head goes opposite knees as you inhale, nice into that back and side body. Exhale, draw yourself back to center. Inhale the other side. Head opposite the knees. Exhaling, pulling center. Take the ball, or you're going to clasp the hands together. You're going to feel your shoulders down. Make sure your feet come a little bit closer together, but they still might be like hips width or so. And you're going to bring that ball across the body. And there's going to be a place for all of us where we're like, oh, my knees, my pelvis want to come off. So we are going to keep the sacrum, the pelvis, and the knees centered. So I can only go so much. Now, the other thing that wants to happen is my bottom elbow wants to bend. So it's going to bend a little bit, but I'm going to try and keep it straight. And if I want to go any more across, I'm going to have to lift my head up. And I'm going to think, okay, knees, legs, do less. And I'm going to see if I can take my top hand and reach it a little bit longer. Now, if you have the hands clasped, you can use that bottom arm to pull it a little bit. And you're going to breathe. You're going to notice, is that the arm that's reaching across, that hip has really got to stay anchored because you got to have something to stretch and reach against. Now, what about your bottom side? The bottom side, is it pushing back into the mat or is it still kind of lifted off? So rock around, rotate, breathe there. Inhale, reach, and if you've got the ball between your hands, you're going to press and try and rotate the ball a little bit more, reach the ball a little bit more, and then you're going to come center. And all you're going to do is try the other side. So you're going to bring your arms across to the other side. Don't forget, if you've got clasped hands, to switch your grip. All right, and it's different on each side. Make sure the hip stays centered and stable. Anchor that hip down of the side, the arm that's reaching across. That hip has really got to stay down. And then you either roll the ball or you pull that top arm, and you make sure your bottom rib cage, the side you're leaning into, push that into the ground. Keep the hips anchored. Breathe there. Roll the ball. And then come center. And it's real small for me. We're going to do that again. So you're going to go over to the side. There's only so far I can go before my head has to lift. And then I roll that ball a bit. Breathe there. Can I get that bottom side to press back? Can I keep my pelvis somewhat level? And then center. And try the other side. And then reach. Breathe there. Oh, cannot keep my hip down on that side. And then center. And one more time each side. Bring the arms across. Reach. Roll the ball. Press the bottom rib cage to help you get leverage to reach and stretch that top side. I'm trying to keep that hip down. It is hard on both sides for me. Breathing. Other side. Make sure that you are breathing as you do this. Use your inhale, use your exhale to coax the ribcage, to coax your movement. And then come center. From there, you are going to make sure that your head, your shoulders, your ribs, and your butt are nice and anchored. You're going to keep the ball between your hands. You're going to bring your feet close together. You're going to lift your heels up and you're going to breathe in. As you exhale, sink and lengthen into the mat as you float your legs up to tabletop. You're going to take the ball to the opposite knee, to the hand that it's in. So whatever side, opposite hand to knee. And the floating, free-floating side, we're going to explore using our breath, and we're going to do this variation of dying bug. So you're going to inhale and float that arm and leg away from each other. Now, you could go all the way out to straight, and you could go, woo, big range of motion, or you could just go a few inches, hold there. Now, the side you're pressing together, is it staying active? Is your pelvis there? What about your breath? As you exhale, you're going to press the ball, squeeze the ball, and pull the limbs in. You're going to inhale out. Exhale, press the ball, pull the limbs in. One more, inhaling out. Exhale, press the ball, pull the limbs in. Switch sides. If you don't have a ball, just hand to the leg. You're going to inhale out. Exhaling in. Pressing opposite arm and leg together. Inhaling out. Exhaling in. Inhaling out. Where's that rib cage? Exhaling. Coming all the way in. We're going to do another sort of breath play around, but before we do that, we're going to bring the feet down. Take the ball between the hands. You're going to curl your pelvis under, so it kind of just like you roll down to get to the mat, you're going to curl it under. But this time you're curling those sits bones, really aiming them up towards the ceiling. Take a moment when you've got your butt curled under enough that your back has more contact on the mat. Just take a breath there, breathing a little bit more exaggerated into the mat. Exhale, curl the sits bones up a little bit more and begin to bridge up slowly. But I want you to lead from those sits bones, pressing down through the whole foot. Then take the ball and reach it overhead. Now, did your ribs stay down? Did your belly stay contained? And did those sits bones stay curling up? Hold there with the ball. Breathe in, and on your exhale, drop the ribs down first. Pull those ribs down with those abdominals. Massage your back onto the mat all the way down until your tail is down. Then bring the ball to the ceiling. Now, if you don't have a ball, it's just either arms together or just arms parallel. Whatever works for you. You're going to curl, we're going to do that 2 more times. So curl the pelvis under. Take a moment when the pelvis is curled under. Know that your sits bones are where the insertion of your hamstring is going all the way up into that pelvis, right? Your sits bones, your ischial tuberosities are part of your pelvis. So it's curling your pelvis under, and you're going to keep that. You're going to breathe, and you're going to slowly curl up, guiding from those sits bones. Like your hamstrings are pulling your pelvis up. Your pelvis is gently tractioning your spine because it buttresses at the sacrum, SI joint, right? That's where your pelvis and your sacrum kind of wedge together. And then you're going to reach the arms overhead. Take a big breath in there. Hold your arms there. Keep the sits bones reaching. And on your exhale, really exaggerate this drop of your ribs in the front so that the back of your rib cage is really widening, right? The back of your rib cage is hitting the mat and widening like pancake batter on the skillet all the way down to your tail, and then come up with the arms. Last one, breathing in. Exhale, start with the sits bones. Pause when your back has a little more contact. Take another breath. Exhale, continue to guide from those sits bones as you curl up. When you're up at your height, I want you to then stretch your arms. Hold there. Make sure you're using your limbs to help you get some length in your spine. And you're going to exhale and you're going to roll the ribs down. Roll the lower back down. Roll the tail down. Keep the ribs grounded. Keep the ball between your hands adjust your costume if you need to. That's what I need to do. Bring your feet together. Keep your shoulders and ribs down as you float your legs up to tabletop. Now notice, like the second I did tabletop, I can feel my ribs shrink. Basically my middle of my back start to pull in. So I probably needed a little bit more belly support, but what I did instead was just wiggled around, be like, okay, I'm just gonna wiggle and reposition, and that's fine. You can do that. I want you to have your legs pressing together, maybe knees and feet, maybe just feet, totally up to you. You're gonna do four of these total. We're gonna do 2 with one breath pattern, 2 with another breath pattern, because I really want you to explore which one does what for your body, which one feels more supportive, which one feels more challenging, right? So you're going to inhale as you stretch your arms and legs away. Make sure that your breath went into your back of your body. Exhale, pulling in. It's like a variation on double leg stretch. We just are not using our legs as levers and we're keeping our head down. Inhale out. Exhale in. What about that rib cage, right? That breath, that grounding of the ribs there. All right, now reverse your breath. So inhale here. Exhale, reach away. Inhale, come in. Exhale, reach away. Inhaling in. So you can always play with that. Hug your knees into your chest, rock around. You're gonna roll to your side. On your side, you're gonna come to your forearm, elbow underneath the shoulder, ball in hand. And if you don't have a ball, you don't have to use it. Knees are stacked and the feet are stacked and the feet are in alignment with the hips. You're gonna press down and lift up. Ball or arm just reaches up. Squeeze your glutes a little bit. Think back to bridging. Think sits bones, hamstrings, glutes working. Lifting up, really think about pushing down. The top arm is going to thread underneath. You're going to rotate there, and you have to think rotisserie ribcage. And if your hips drop, because they're gonna want to, you gotta engage those hips and really press them forward as you reach that arm underneath. So you're really spiraling those ribs on the central axis. Then you're gonna inhale, open up. Exhale, thread the needle, rotisserie those ribs, keep the hips active and lifting. Inhale, open out. Exhale, reach and rotate. And then inhale, open out. Bring your hips down. Stretch that bottom arm out. Bring your feet forward to the front corner of the mat and bring your ball in front of you. The top leg is going to lift and flex, and the ball, you're going to press it down, you're going to pull, think pelvis, ribs are back against an imaginary wall, push down into the ball, and kick the foot towards the ball. And then point and bring that leg back, and as you bring that leg back, you're going to roll the ball forward a little bit. You're going to allow yourself to rotate around that central axis. So once again, rotisserie ribs. Obliques have to work to help me rotate those ribs, but also I'm moving the intercostals and all of the tissue, like my diaphragm's getting different movements because my ribs are moving differently. The intercostals are moving differently. All right, you're gonna pull the ball back, stacking the ribs, and you're gonna flex. And I'm thinking about my hand and the ball and my leg coming towards each other. And then I'm gonna press. I'm gonna rotisserie as I swing my leg back. Let's inhale as we kick forward, bringing the ball back a little bit. Exhale as you roll the ball forward, rotisserie ribs, kicking the leg back, using your hamstring and glute. 2 more. Inhale, kick forward. Exhale, kicking back. Inhale, kick forward. Exhale, kick back. Hold there with those rotisserie ribs and the ball pressing forward, and I am pushing down. So even if you don't have the ball, press down into the ground. Keep that leg reaching longer than you think. Hold there. Keep the pelvis stacked. And then circle that leg for 4 times in each direction. 4, 3, 2, 1. Go the other direction for 4. Really pay attention to the up and back angle of your direction. 2, 1. And then bring the legs together. Bend the knees. And we're going to go to the other side. On your other side, forearm under elbow underneath the shoulder, whole forearm pressing down, not just the elbow. Snuggle your shoulder onto your rib cage, knees are bent, arm goes up, and you lift up. Adjust accordingly. Squeeze and engage and press your hips forward. If it's too tight in this top hip, let the knees separate. That's fine. You're going to keep thinking, lift my bottom tush and press my butt forward, shoulder onto my rib cage. Top arm is going to thread underneath that bottom arm, and you are not going to let your hips drop. You're going to keep driving those hips forward and lengthen through the crown of your head and rotate those ribs rotisserie style. And then you're going to inhale, open up. Exhale, reach and rotate. Inhale up. Exhale, reach and rotate. And open up. And you bring your hips down. You slide that bottom arm out. You kick your feet forward. You take your ball in front of you. You make sure that you think your butt, your ribs, your head are back against an imaginary wall or a real wall. Press the ball down. Lift and flex the foot. Kick forward on an inhale. Point the foot. Roll the ball forward. Exhale, rotisserie ribs. Inhale, kicking forward. Exhale, reach the leg back. And a lot of times our leg likes to dip, so really still feel your glutes firing there. Pull the ball towards you and a little bit down towards that leg as the leg kicks forward. Inhaling, exhaling as you reach the ball forward. And rotisserie ribs. Now, my pelvis in my dream scenario stays stacked, but I'm doing a pretty large movement with my legs, so it's going to be pulled a little bit. But you're aiming towards trying to keep it stacked. Inhale, kick forward. Exhale, kick back. Your arm is doing opposite that. Inhale, the arm pulls back, leg kicks forward. Exhale, arm reaches forward, leg kicks back. Hold there, press the ball down. Keep the pelvis as stacked as you can. Bring the ribs into their rotisserie and circle that leg for 4, for 3. Reach through the leg longer than you think, so the knee is really straight. Go the other direction for 4. Breathing 3, 2, 1. Bring the legs together, bend the knees, and come up to hands and knees. All right, back on your hands and knees, we're going to go back to, you guessed it, cat-cow. So you're going to exhale, use those sits bones to pull the pelvis under, let the tail slide with that. That's going to ripple through your lower back, into those ribs, up through your upper back, into your neck and your throat, rounding there. And then you're going to slowly go out. Tail goes up. Sits bones go with that. You ripple out, but you keep your organs supported. So although they are moving forward, they're not going to collapse onto the ground. I mean, I'm exaggerating clearly. And then find a happy medium. Now, breathe here, pressing the ground away. I want you to walk your hands forward and your knees back a little bit. Any hand or knee padding you need to, by all means. If you need to do this, we're going to be moving into a little plank scenario, like using our breath for support. So if you need to plank on your forearms or make a fist with your hand for wrist support, do that. Tuck your toes. And the first thing you're going to do is really actively push down through your hands and stretch back. And as you stretch back, your sits bones will widen. Your pubic bone should be reaching back, and your belly might want to collapse down your thighs, but you are going to think, wait, I need to lift that up. So I'm supporting that spine even from the front. Pressing down, take a moment. Now notice, as you've done this, can you still get those back ribs to float up a little bit towards the ceiling? Can you snuggle your shoulders onto, like they're on the rib cage, but they are upwardly rotated, right? So they're not like shoulders down the back. They are technically, literally, upwardly rotated as you shift back. But you still need your rib cage there for them. So draw the front ribs a little together and lift the back side of your rib cage. Breathe there. Going back to that inhale, exhale. Inhale, whole body expansion. Exhale, doming diaphragm, doming belly, softening the ribs, but keeping them lifted in the back. Now, keep that connection as you look between your hands. Get your legs engaged and press forward into a plank position. If you need to do kneeling plank, that's fine. Shoulders should be over the hands or over the elbows if you're on your forearms. Hips could be a little lifted, but not like piked up butt, right? Inner thighs need to face each other, and you need to feel like your glutes can engage with this. Now you're going to hold, and you're going to take a deep breath into that side and back rib cage, because you need to maintain some stiffness in the interior wall of your abdominals. As you do this, reach your heels back. Exhale, draw the waistline, the belly in and up, and reach your heels longer and your head longer as you exhale. Inhale, breathe into that back and side body. Exhale, reach the heels, reach the head, and draw the belly in and up on your exhale. One more. Inhale. Get those ribs to lift. Exhale. Draw the belly in and up. On your next exhale, you're going to exhale and bring your knees down. You're going to widen your knees apart, and you're going to allow yourself to go back to your variation of child's pose. And I want you to have a slight round before you start. So you're going to exaggerate that round, especially from your navel to your ribs. And you're going to press through your arms as you shift back. And if your knees cannot stand deep knee flexion, you can put your towel behind them or the roller behind them, behind your legs to help you. Or you could just do butt up, head down. If your knees can do the deep knee flexion, let your hips slide back. Let the tail be free. Find your head dropping down. Now, if you really want to let your head rest, but you can't make it to the ground, again, you can stack your hands and do that. You can also let it hang, or maybe you have the mobility to let your head always all the way find the mat. And I want you to be here for a moment, where your thighs and your ribs and belly all kind of have a little bit of contact. And even if you're sort of butt up, head down, you still have a closer connection there. And you might even could take a pillow or something between there just so you have that physical feedback, that proprioceptive feedback. And you're just going to hold here and you're going to breathe. And as you breathe, I just want you to make sure that you're letting your breath level out. So you don't have to think like a doctor's visit, breathe into the stethoscope. You could just breathe normal. And I want you to be curious about, can I sense my respiratory diaphragm's movement? Can I sense my rib cage movement, right? We have this space between each rib, and each rib has its own little rotation and trajectory as we inhale and exhale. And they can be different, and they can be constricted in one part and looser in the other part. And so just getting curious is a really nice way to integrate things into your daily life. So you don't feel like, oh, I have to breathe this way, or I have to breathe that way, or I have to have this specific posture, because posture is not static. But if you can just get curious, it brings awareness to it, and then you make these slow, sort of mindful changes, but without any excessive things on your schedule or excessive posturing, so to speak. Like you don't have to be rigid in anything. So you're going to take 3 more breaths here, noticing in your back where you breathe or where you don't breathe, or in your belly where you breathe or you don't breathe, or your chest. And when you're ready, you're going to stack up as you make your way upright, whether that's sitting, standing, kneeling, whatever it is. Notice if you immediately pushed your chest forward and pinched those ribs in this middle back area, right? So you kind of pulled those in, open this, chest got lifted, because we can have the chest lifted and these lower front ribs dropped, right? We can have that balance. And when that drops, then your lower back can shift. You might start to notice, oh, my pelvis does something weird I never noticed before, because now your ribs are not compensating for that. Your belly might do something different. Your neck and shoulders might feel a little different. But just explore that and use your breath and your awareness of what that breath is, your ribs, your diaphragm. You can use that integrated into a workout or integrated into a car ride or a walk or anything else that you do. You can always come back to that, especially when we're stressed or we're tired. And that is a lot of us because we have busy, busy modern day lives. So I hope you take this with you. I hope this helps and you're breathing better and you feel a little bit longer and a little bit stronger. And until next time, keep moving.